square. As you can see, they got slightly longer. Maybe the square might have stayed the same. The game manager will definitely be different once we are finished with it. It will be much shorter is what I mean. So I shrunk it quite a lot because I gave a lot of the functionality to the piece, and because we're not going to have to do all of this over here. We're just going to have to move it very simply. So again, we are going to keep our variables at the top. I believe that those are all of the same ones that we are going to need. Yes, we already changed that to piece because that's what we are passing to it. If current piece selection is less than 33, let's actually work on this first, because start is pretty much just going to get deleted completely. You will see why I'm saying that in just a second. So when we want to move the piece, what we actually want to do is, I shrunk this down a lot, so I'm just going to copy it over and explain what I have done and why I have made those changes. So this is our old one, starts here and finishes here. This is our new one. In the old one, how we did it was go through all of the properties of each of both pieces and copy one to the other, and then change the old ones all to zeros or to nothing. But now, because we're just going to be transferring it to another place, what I do is, once check selection is called, I allow square selection true. That pretty much plays out the same as this, although current piece selection less than 33, I just remove that, because I am definitely going to have selected a piece if I am running this, because that's the only case when this is going to be allowed to run because of the changes we're making. So then, if again this is exactly the same, the if checking is the same. If we're doing that, then what I do is I get all square and set piece coordinates. So, or no, I do this. So current piece selection transform.set parent and all of this, as you can see. So current piece selection is the piece that we have passed to our game manager, which we get from here, from this line, gets passed on to this line, and then we use it over here. Current piece selection .transform.set parent. What this does is we're wanting to change this piece's parent in Unity. So what this is basically doing is the script version of dragging and dropping. And we change it so that its parent is becomes this one. This one is the square, which we have passed from these coordinates, i.e. the ones that we have clicked on. And then we just do GameObject.transform to get the real world coordinates, i.e. these coordinates over here, because this is called the transform, as you can see, rect transform. And then the false here, let me actually pull this up. So this is the function that we are using, which is already a built-in function, as you can see. So bool world position stays. So in our case, we don't want it to stay, we want it to be relative to its parent. If you wanted it to stay, then you would set it to true. But we want it to be false so that it does actually move on the board. If you set it to true, then what would happen is when you move this bishop to here, it would be, the image would still be stuck here. Now let's just simply leave it at that. And then the next thing after we have moved it is make sure that the piece has the new coordinates that we have given it, so that, for example, if we've moved this bishop to here, it doesn't have the coordinates of, what is that, 2, 7, but instead it has the coordinates of 0.25. And so that we can work with it later on once again. Allow square selection false, the exact same thing as before. Current piece selection null. Null is just points to nothing because you can't set it to equal to 0. It doesn't make sense to make piece equal to 0. Let me just, because it's a piece, it's not like an integer value. And once again, those two lines are the exact same as here. So previously, what we did was get all of the pieces on our board, go through each of them, find the one that matches the number with our piece current piece selection, which was only a number, which was obviously so far very inefficient, and then change its texture number to be equal to the old texture number, and so on, and then reset everything. But the new way we're doing it is much more efficient. As you can see, even just by the code size, it's different. The reason I have these as comments over here is because this one line does the exact same thing as these two lines together, but Unity doesn't actually like these two lines, so use either one, use them at your own risk, I guess. It's not really a risk, I've tried them. They do work the way that this works, but Unity doesn't like them. It prefers it if you use these ones. You get the yellow warning thing. Game button handler stays the same. We have nothing in update. Once again, I did move update to the bottom just to make it slightly more convenient. So now let's move on to our start. Let's actually just delete everything that is in start. There we go. Let's start over. This is because the easiest way to actually set up the board at the start is to literally set it up the way we did it. So make sure all of the pieces are correctly set up. Make sure this one's a black queen, for example. Make sure that the squares are empty here, and so on. Because we have done that, we can just use that as our initializer. And in our start function currently, or method, what we want to have is the following. So square, all squares, one dim. Once again, it's pretty much this. Well, this is exactly the same as what we had before, as we just get all of the squares from the board, but that's it this time for the start method. That's all we have. And if I'm correct, I think that our game is almost finished now. And just to show that, let's make sure that there are no errors in our console. That's good. As you can see, I can move this piece. However, let's see what happens if I move it there. Oh, we can't see it. Same thing with the black pieces. But we can move them back. So the problem here is that what happens, the whole scene at first gets rendered, and then when you start moving the pieces around, they start going to the background. This is my understanding. I'm not too sure. I wasn't able to find a solution on the internet. I just found my own solution of how to fix it. Simply, you just go into all of the canvases that we have, which now is only 32 because we removed the 32 blank ones. Override sorting, and you make this to anything greater than 0, i.e. At least 1. If you do that, then you are free to move the pieces wherever you like, and they are actually going to move. So take the rook, for example. I can move it to wherever I want. However, if I untick that, if I try to move the rook like this, it becomes invisible. It does actually move. You can see that it is moving from the children that are inside of the square and where they are. If I start new game, it is still there. It doesn't get deleted or anything. But the way I found to fix it, I'm not sure if it's the best way of doing it, is just setting that to be to a number greater than 0 and an integer. If you do that, it all works. So that is actually it for today's lesson. So just to recap, what we did was, well, we didn't change much of the function of our game. It does pretty much the exact same thing it did before. However, we did it in a much more efficient way. Instead of copying things over and deleting the old ones, what we did was just literally move them to the new place. So we moved the piece to a new square, instead of copying it over to the new square and then deleting the old copy. So off camera, what I'm going to be doing is just sorting, making sure the canvases are all set to 1, or the override sorting on the canvas is set to sort order 1, so that it works for the next lesson and we are prepared for that. In the next lesson, I believe that what we're going to be doing is starting to add logic, meaning that we're going to be adding new scripts for all of the pieces that we have. So we're going to have a subclass for pawn, we're going to have a subclass for bishop, which is going to inherit from our piece class. So until then, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, do feel free to ask in the comments down below. I will help you out as much as I can. I'm sure that even others wouldn't mind helping if they are able to help. So do feel free to interact with me in the comments. I haven't actually had that much interaction in the comments recently, even though I have been getting quite a few more subscribers, which sure makes me happy, but if I'm not getting interaction with you guys, then I don't really see much of a point of getting more subscribers. But other than that, yeah, thank you so much for watching, and for now, goodbye.